top of Mount Sinai. We're looking toward the northwest area. Behind these peaks that are just to my back is the valley where the Israelites would have been encamped for almost a year. So what was it like for Moses to actually come up here the very first time when they first got to the base of Mount Sinai? This is what I want to talk about right now. But first of all, what I'm looking at in front of me are two different areas that are caves. One is probably the cave where Moses was for 40 whole days when he came up here. He was one of the men of the Old Testament that survived 40 days without food and water. The other one was Elijah. Very interesting. But he came up here in that type of ascetic prayer to encounter the Lord. Then there's another part of the cave where he was hidden, where God's hand hid him when he was desiring to see his glory. But what was the first ascent like? If we go to Exodus 19, and we'll just do a little exegesis and pick out some of the most important things and talk about what it would have been like. Let's start with 19, verse 1. It says, on the third new moon, the Israelites, the sons of Israel, had gone forth out of the land of Egypt, and they finally made it here. And it says, after Rephidim, they came from the wilderness of Sinai and encamped there before the mountain, like I said, right behind me. And Moses went up to God, and the Lord called him out to the mountain, saying, thus shall you say to the house of Jacob and all the sons of Israel, you have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. So again, he's asking everyone, all of the Israelite people, to remember. That's one of the very first things that we often have to do. I mentioned before in the introductory talk, it's important to have a pilgrim journal. It's actually a lumina. I've made reference to it. And those are just little lights, the things that the Lord has done in our lives. He asks us the same thing he's telling Moses to ask the people to do. Remember. Many times he bears us up on eagle's wings. There's that popular hymn in English, he will raise you up on eagle's wings and bear you on the breath of dawn. That is actually describing what happened to the Israelites as they came through the desert and made their way here. And then it continues. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice and keep my covenant, you shall be my own possession among all peoples, for all the earth is mine. You shall be to me a kingdom of priests, a holy nation. And these are the words, he says to Moses, you will speak to Israel. So I brought you to myself, it says right here. You are my possession. Doesn't this speak of the absolute love that the Lord has for his people? He is treasured. Israel, the descendants of Israel are treasured by the Lord. I want you to come close to me. That is the great desire that the Lord has. And this is their great privilege. But also with that comes a great responsibility. What does it mean to be a priestly people, like it says here in Exodus 19? They're actually a kingdom of priests. And the special mission is what it means. This mission that Israel has, first of all, it's like a national vocation in a way, to be formed in holiness. When we are drawn to the Lord, we become holy. He wants to make us holy. Our relationship with him makes us in his image. In other words, it divinizes us, as I've said that. And they become holy through the moral law that Moses received right here on this mountain. What's the second responsibility as a priestly people? Well, it's to serve as a mediator. Moses himself became the intercessor between the people and the Lord. And we'll talk about that in a moment, well, a little bit later. But all of the people of Israel are called to be mediators and missionary, in a sense, a missionary body to the rest of the world. God brings them close to him as their firstborn son. We'll see that in just a second. I formed you, he says in Isaiah 42, which reflects the identity of the people much later. I formed you and set you as a covenant for the people, a light to the nations. So that is what this particular verse is talking about. And then it continues. If we go to verse 9, it says, behold, I am coming to you in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak to you, and may also believe you forever. So again, there's the same theme, this thick cloud. And why a cloud? Because it's something visual, it's something palpable, that the people know that the presence of the Lord is here. But also, he says, the thick cloud so that people may hear when I speak to you. So it is a thick cloud, which is going to have a lot of noise. And that's when we get really exciting here when we're talking about Moses and his daring to come up this mountain. Let's continue. It says, when Moses told the words of the Lord to the people, the Lord continued, go to the people and consecrate them, make them holy today and tomorrow. Let them wash their garments, for on the third day, the Lord will come down upon Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. I wanted to point that out because, again, it's that third day. 3 is so important. It's very theological. There's something very salvific that's going to happen after 3 days, and the people need to be consecrated. In other words, set aside, set apart just for the Lord to be able to kind of like receive everything that the Lord wants to give. He will come in the sight of all on the third day. I think the apostles remembered this. He will come in the sight of all on the third day. So that's when we get to this theophany. Let's go to the next verse, which is verse 16. So listen to what happens on this third day. There was thunder and lightning and a thick cloud upon the mountain and a very loud trumpet blast. Now, this was a trumpet blast that probably came from Israel itself. And so Moses told the Israelites, you must blow the trumpet. I'm sure it was one of them doing this. It was like this conversation between God and the people. So you've got the thunder and the lightning and the cloud, and I would never come up here if there were circumstances like that. But Moses did because, of course, he trusts the Lord. And it says, Moses brought the people out of the camp of God and so they took their stand at the foot of the mountain, wrapped in smoke. So it must have been an incredibly impressive sight. And so Moses spoke, and God answered him in thunder, the horn and the thunder. And the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai in the top of the mountain, and the Lord called Moses to the top of the mountain, and Moses went up. I just love that. But let's talk quickly about the theophany. Theophany just means this great, I always think of it as like God manifesting himself, which is what it is, but in this loud, noisy, like impressive way. And what would be the goal of this? What would be the goal of this? Well, it says it right here in Exodus. It says, he wants the people to be fearful of him, to respect him. And that is amazing. But fear doesn't mean, oh my gosh, I want to run away from the Lord. I mean, they were trying to do that all the time anyway. So they're not freaked out by him. Fear actually means awe. It means wonder and respect for the absolute majesty of the Lord. You know, when you look out here in these mountains, Mount Horeb, all of this area, it's fabulous. You can't help but be filled with awe, or like awe when you see a beautiful sunrise or a beautiful sunset or the immensity of the ocean. I think that's why the Lord gave us, the senses to be filled with awe in that way. But when we're talking about fear of the Lord, it's not just awe, but it's reminding us of how small we are before the Lord. When you stand at the base of the mountain where their camp was, where they were standing, you're just like, I'm so tiny. I'm so little. And he is so great. And most particularly, it's the greatness of his love. Remember what happened in Rephidim. It is the passionate love of the Lord, which is being expressed here in this theophany. And this is the love, this is the great power of what he wants to do for me. He wants to foster an attitude of trustful self-abandonment to the one who is all-powerful and all-loving. He can clearly do anything. He can carry me on eagle's wings, and he has chosen me for his very own. All the girls want to be princesses, marry a prince, marry a king. Well, I'll tell you what, that is our dignity and that is our calling. So let's go to Exodus 20:20 very quickly. And it says here in verse 20, do not fear, for God has come to test you, and that the fear of him may be before your eyes, and you may not sin. Okay, again, let's go back to Rephidim. We just talked about that just down the valley. What is this testing? Remember it says in Meribah and Massah, we tested him and we had a hard heart because we didn't trust him. So what is it that is happening now? So remember back in Rephidim, we talked about the fact that they tested the Lord. And in the sense, they had the hard hearts not to trust in him. And now, how interesting that he reverses it. He says that the fear of him may be before your eyes and you may not sin. God has come to test you. Okay, we tested him. It wasn't a good thing, but he's testing me now. So what does that actually mean? The Lord is asking if he can trust in our fidelity. And talking to the Israelites, he's in a certain sense saying, can I trust in your fidelity? Can I trust you're part of the bargain? You're part of the covenant. As it says in Exodus 19, verse 8, this is what, it goes back and forth. It's kind of like remembering what has happened in these days. In different parts of Exodus, in 8, it says very clearly, the people answered together. Well, first of all, Moses came and called the elders, etc., set before them all the words which the Lord had commanded him. And all the people answered together. They answered together and said, all that the Lord has spoken, we will do. Just a little bit further, the Lord is testing them. Can I trust you? Can I trust you? All that the Lord has spoken, we will do. But here, he lays out what he desires. This covenant. And so it's almost like pulling us higher and saying, do you really want to choose me? That's somebody who's in love. Do you really love me? Do you really want to choose me? Are you in awe of me? Are you going to allow me to take you up again and carry you forward and give you dignity and grace? That's the question. And then what's interesting is he goes on to speak to Moses right in verse 21 of chapter 20 about the sacrifice. This is what it says. You have seen for yourselves that I have talked with you from heaven. Thunder, lightning. He did this on purpose. I have talked to you from heaven. You shall not make gods of silver to be with me, nor shall you make for yourself gods of gold. An altar on earth you shall make for me and sacrifice on it your burnt offerings, etc., your peace offerings. And then it says, I will come to you and bless you. What an interesting way to finish off that desire or that question. Can I trust your fidelity to me? Well, his greatest desire is that they finally again leave behind all those little gods that they knew very, very well in Egypt. Those little gods on these arks, these boats, what they knew very well. Because his greatest desire is this. It's to come to me and to bless me. That's what he wants. Are we going to let him do that? That's really the test. And so let's climb this incredible mountain together. It's not just here specifically on this day that we've actually climbed this peak together, but it's every single day and in every moment of our lives. Let us let the Lord speak to us, come to us, and bless us. The Israelites are at the base of the mountain. We've been able to come up with Moses. What a grace. And so know that we're praying for you from this incredibly high place here on Mount Sinai, and God bless you.